Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. The case has just been reported from the North Bijnapur, India-Bangladesh border in West Bengal. A 17-year-old minor Hindu girl has been apprehended by the BSF trying to cross over to India. The girl, who claims to be an ISKCON devotee, says she and her family have been threatened by fundamentalists in Bangladesh, and she was told by her ailing parents to exit the country fearing attacks. The BSF has handed over the girl to West Bengal Police, who are verifying her claims and investigating the matter. Meanwhile, Chinmay Das and his bail plea have been rejected by a court in Bangladesh once again. These developments raise serious concerns of an exodus. So how should India deal with these people coming in? Why is the world still turning a blind eye to what is happening in Bangladesh? And when do we take stringent action and actually send a message to Bangladesh that whatever is happening is being noticed and whatever is happening is unacceptable? Ambassador Veena Sikri, former diplomat, with us on the program. Major General Sudhakarji, defense expert, joins us on the show as well. Mr. Pratham Bose, columnist, also with us on the forum. And last but by no means the least, Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, joins us to discuss this important issue as well. Professor Nalapat, I'll begin with you, sir. So it's very difficult for the BSF, as I would reckon, to verify the claims of these people. But I would also, in fact, consider what they are saying, to be true, considering what has been happening in Bangladesh for the past few months. Now, after Donald Trump, there hasn't been much noise from the international community as well when it comes to these human rights violations in Bangladesh. If in India, every lynching case is pasted and plastered in the Western media, but when it comes to Bangladesh, there seems to be an atmosphere of radio silence. It's only a message, Professor Nalapat, that India alone has to take stock of the situation and perhaps do something. We have tried everything diplomatically. We have tried everything in a soft manner. Do you think that we are standing on an anvil where India needs to crack the whip?
First of all, I'd like to say that there is no question of any verification needed. The fact of the matter is that Hare Krishna devotees are being persecuted in Bangladesh. Those BSF personnel who want to verify, they have obviously not watched television or read a newspaper. Had they done either of that, they would have found out that Hare Krishna people have been systematically, along with other Hindus and Christians, may I add, being targeted by the new Bangladesh administration. So there's no question of verification needed. I think that's just an excuse, because quite frankly, a lot of people do come across the border, and many of them come without, quote unquote, without verification. So I think this young lady should be allowed entry. I think it's unfair, and frankly, it's pretty unjust to prevent her from entering. And yes, I must agree that there is a case that the new Bangladesh administration would like to see the Hindu population of Bangladesh and the Christian population diminished to zero. And they want to push them all into India. There's no question that that's right. The question is, what are the dilemma that India faces? I think it's, so far as Donald Trump is concerned, he's taking charge on 20th of January. Steve Bannon, who's very close to Trump, has been in touch with me, and he is very worried about the situation in Bangladesh. So it's not just Trump, it's the people around Trump who are worried, and I think that's going to make a big difference when Trump enters the White House. I think at that point in time, India needs to, Prime Minister Modi needs to talk to his good friend Donald Trump, and I think India needs to work out, along with the US, a very clear line of action in which, frankly, there will be enforcement, if I may say so, or accountability to the new Bangladesh administration. And in case they fail to meet the standard human rights tests, then I think it's important to ensure that the human rights of Bangladesh are protected, and it should be done in whatever means practical and practicable. There's no question, Vineet, that this is not a time for softness. This is a time for hard decisions to be taken. And I don't believe that India should act alone. I believe it should act in concert with the United States. And I do believe that that opportunity will come when Trump is there. And possibly we can stop this slaughter and we can even bring back some of the fleeing Hindus. Over the last 6-7 years, Hindus have been fleeing Bangladesh, and they've gone down to an abysmal level that's going to soon reach single digits. So yes, I think strong action needs to be taken, and it needs to be taken in concert with Donald Trump when he enters the White House. I'm sure Prime Minister Modi is considering all this. Thank you, Vinny.
Absolutely. Great points there, sir. Ambassador Sikri, in fact, Bangladesh itself has confirmed there have been 88 incidents of violence against minorities. Bangladesh has also said that 70 individuals have been apprehended in connection, with these transgressions. But we all know how this works. In fact, there was a point in time, Ambassador Sikri, that Muhammad Yunus denied. He said all these reports which are being put out in India and elsewhere are completely false, and now they have admitted to having 88 incidents which transpired in the country of Bangladesh. Now we all know that this is just perhaps, like they say, the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these cases.
Well, I agree with you, Vineet. I think that the very fact that the Mohammad Yunus administration felt obliged to announce these cases as a result of Foreign Secretary Vikram Mishri's visit to Dhaka, and he himself described his talks with his Bangladesh counterparts and with Mohammad Yunus and Foreign Affairs Advisor Tawhid Hussain. He described his talks as frank, candid, and constructive. So obviously he has told them quite clearly India's the feeling across India, not only with the government. Prime Minister Modi's message was there for Mohammad Yunus' assurance to our Prime Minister that he will prioritize the security of the Hindus. All that was there. But as you said quite rightly, all these weeks and months in interviews Mohammad Yunus was giving, dismissing the action, the violence against minorities, saying, oh, but they were Awami League. This is not communal violence. As if it's all right to kill people and rape and abduct and destroy properties because of Awami League, which is absolutely ridiculous. And 2 points here are very worthy, that the media in Bangladesh has been completely gagged. The media, there are hundreds of journalists who have lost their accreditation. Hundreds of journalists are in jail on charges of murder. Among them are many, minority community people. And so the media was just not reporting on this, saying this is complete, even leading papers like Daily Star, saying, oh, this is complete Indian media propaganda. They're dismissing it as Indian media propaganda. And now that the Mohammad Yunus administration felt obliged to talk about 88 incidences and 70, none of the Bangladesh media has so far written about this. This is only something that has come in the Indian media because we've been following it, and we followed it as a statement by the press advisor to Mohammad Yunus. So I'm just saying the kind of atmosphere that is prevailing in Bangladesh of complete denial on this, complete denial. And it's ridiculous because it's as if your 15 million minorities with 1.3 crore Hindus and 1 million Buddhists and 500,000 Christians, as if their word counts for nothing. So this is one very sad aspect which has been exposed by this statement of 88 incidences. Although the one paper before it was clamped down on, the Pratham Alo, had talked about more than 1,000 incidents just in 15 days between August 5 and August 20th. They spoke about more than 1,000 incidents at least. So you can know the situation. The interesting point I'd like to say is that this time the Hindu minorities and other minorities have determined to stay on in Bangladesh. They have been rallying right from the 9th of August. They've had rallies in Dhaka, in Chittagong and in Rangpur, saying that we want to stay on. We are citizens of this country, we want our rights. So I think this is a very important point, and they have made an 8-point demand to the government of Bangladesh, and all of us should ensure that the interim regime of Bangladesh takes cognizance of those demands and puts them on the agenda. So far there's been no cognizance at all. They want very simple demands. They want a law for the protection of minorities, a ministry for the protection of minorities. They want that their places of worship should be protected. They want that all those who have committed these acts of violence and and attacks on the minorities should be apprehended and brought to justice. Very simple demands they have, and I think we have to all work to make sure that these demands are met. But above all, I think in Bangladesh today, the focus has to be on having early, free and fair and inclusive elections. So far, the Awami League has been completely as though it doesn't exist. Mohammed Yunus had a meeting of national unity where he talked about national unity, but the Awami League was not invited. The Jatiya Party was not invited. 40% of the electoral support is for these two parties, and they're not invited. So what are you talking about national unity? So if they have early elections without talk of all this, reform commission for the constitution, reform commission for the elections, and so on, then I think there is hope that the minorities will be included and will be able to play their part in
Right.
determining what government should look like. At the moment, this is a constitutionally invalid government, and
Right.
really,
Absolutely. And General Sudhakarji, what guarantee do we have? What guarantee do the people of Bangladesh, the minorities in Bangladesh, have that this interim government tomorrow is not going to work towards and orchestrate a plan where a puppet government is installed and they continue to work in the background? An interim government is not to take such extreme steps as have been taken in this case. And we haven't heard too much from any of the political parties in Bangladesh or the civilian population in Bangladesh as well when it comes to these atrocities. Most of them seem to be comfortable and, in fact, if I can use this word, complicit in these crimes against minorities.
Vinit, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show, and compliments to the previous very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. As regards to the question that you have raised, it's going to happen that way. Let there be no second thought or doubt. Even if it doesn't happen, we as a contiguous, or as a country with immediate neighborhood and with contiguous border, we should take it as the toughest of challenges that may emerge out of this particular situation. Being a military man, since you're asking me, I would strongly recommend that we must look at it as a very critical turn of event taking place very close to the border, which has got potential to spill over to West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, there as it is claiming. Bangladesh, as on today, has got 10 divisions, 10 army divisions, 2.27 lakh of military population. They have also got armored, they have got aviation, they got 56 aircraft, combat aircraft. Their military capability, do you know that all the war games which they conduct so far, to the best of my understanding and research and study, all the war games, they have only one enemy. The enemy is India, despite the help we have been extending to Bangladesh. Now, coming to your point that you have raised, I personally feel, this is my understanding, it is going to happen the way you have just given out in your narrative or in the preamble of my question. So what do? Where does India go from here? First and foremost thing that comes to my mind, being a military general, retired general, is we must secure the shoulders of Siliguri corridor. Has it happened? I don't know. Being a retired man, I don't know. Who's sitting at Jampheri Ridge? Are the Chinese coming to Jampheri? That is the Bhutan, which is like part of Bhutan? Or are Indians there? If US could resolve its border issue with Mexico by paying off $10 million 200 years back, if they could resolve the border with Canada by buying off a chunk of land with Canada a long time, not that Canada has resolved all the border issues, they have criticalities. China and Russia, they have also gone in for similar kind of thing. Notwithstanding they have, why can't India do it? Why are we twiddling our thumb or poodle faking? If you can't buy it, then are you going to wait for Chinese to come and sit here in the Siliguri corridor? So therefore, what I'm coming to is that we need to be proactive in certain things. If it is happening, well and good. If it is not happening, then there is a wake-up call. Number two, I wish to clarify in this. The kind of people that we have, like Professor Nalapat, he brought out a very relevant point. It has come down to single digit. From 28% way back in 1946, it came down in 52 to 22 or 23% Hindu population. Today it is 7.95% of the total population of Bangladesh, 17.73 crores. So it is less than 8% today. And further prosecution like this is going to ensure that the Hindus are compelled to leave Bangladesh. There is going to be an exodus, which is coming to my mind. India should be prepared for a thing like 1971. If we are not prepared, Manipur, the way it is burning, duly facilitated by situation in Myanmar, although they don't have any common border with Bangladesh, but other states, the Mizoram, the Arunachal Pradesh, the Nagaland that you have, the Tripura, the Bangladesh has got borders with Assam and West Bengal. The largest length of the border is with West Bengal. So what I am fearing is that there may be a huge exodus of Hindu population. The symbols have started off. This girl making an effort to come across, avoiding the attention of Bangladesh guarding forces along the border is just the tip of the iceberg. You never know that many more may be happening. So therefore, we need to actually be very, very careful and take proactive action. I don't know if our military authorities are actually taking it seriously or not, because the extended standoff, notwithstanding the thought that we have gone in with the China, here is a country you cannot trust this country, China. And I personally feel post 5th August 2019, after the Article 35 alpha was abrogated, facilitated by the Article 370, it is Mr. Qureshi, the foreign minister of Pakistan, had rushed to China on 9th of August 2019 just to formulate, crystallize some kind of a counter strategy to put India in place. And since then, you check the statistics. South of Pir Panjal ranges, from Punch to Rajouri to Kathua side or to Doda side, the terrorist activities have intensified between 9th August 2019 thereafter, and they have peaked when we are conducting elections, by call it the assembly election or the parliamentary elections. And now the foreign terrorists have grown in number. There is a strategy being played with the help of this United Front Works Department of China, one. Number two, you have the ISI, hand in glove. Number three, there are
All right, sir. Let me also rope in
actors.
Pratim Bose. Let me also rope in Pratim Bose and see what he has to say about it. Mr. Bose, the outside angle is obviously there, but the fact of the matter is that India has been hoping that the friendship that we've had with Bangladesh over the last few decades is somewhere going to resonate within this interim government. There is going to be some empathy towards all the hurdles that India and Bangladesh have crossed in terms of getting along, and that will be appreciated. But it doesn't seem to be cutting too much ice, especially with Bangladesh. What is supposed to be India's stance at this point in time? Because this is a gross, a very profound, a very serious, a morbid transgression of human rights.
India, I think, has been working very cautiously. If you notice the statement of Foreign Secretary, there is an indication that India is looking forward to the election. And if I understand Bangladesh correctly, is that they are now in a hurry to conduct an election. I hear that it will happen in July or so. They know that this tenure, this particular government cannot survive. The problem is that this government is equivalent to something like Janata Party, accepting the fact that the Janata Party worked for the upholding the constitution. This government has come with they took oath on the constitution, irrespective of whatever its status that Ambassador Sikri had rightly pointed out, but it started working against the constitution, and it has. Bangladesh, typically, the problem with Bangladesh politics is, if you look at the composition of Janata Party, there was left, there was right. And in Bangladesh, politics generally over the years had gone right after right after right. So over here, the far right, every right is far right than the other. So they have come in, and these forces there are many unquantifiable force. For example, when you say student, what is the political identity of the student? When you say these people, they are luminaries of Bangladesh who has been the advisors. But what is their political identity? So that has created all the confusion, and the huge force that is working underneath is typically the far right force, the fundamentalist force. The proof of the pudding is what is happening in Chattogram with Chinmay Prabhu. See, Chattogram is the strongest base of Hindus in Bangladesh. If you can snub them, you silence them everywhere. And when Hindus are silenced, all minorities are silenced. So Hindus raised the voice this time, and look what happened yesterday when on the previous hearing they didn't allow the advocate No advocate was allowed. There was a demand, threat issued right from the court premises that if anyone comes, he will be, they will kill him. So yesterday, when a very senior advocate and a human rights worker went there to appear for Chinmay Prabhu, he was heckled. Now, this culture is unfortunately is patronized and nursed by the Yunus administration. The way they sent students, and those students, this mob justice, they forced the chief justice and a series of one and a half dozen of judges of High Court and Supreme Court to resign. That design has now become everywhere. Whether, so it has gone, partly it is their design, partly it has gone out of their hand. And I think India is, that India put this visa restriction and huge security on the border is just a clear indicator that India is taking things cautiously. Before ending, I'll just point out one thing. Firstly, if the visa restrictions are opened, there will be a rush of Hindus. I know for sure. Yesterday, some Hindu leaders who are leading this Hindu Jagran, Shanmilito Jagrani Mancho, that was led by Chinmay Prabhu, they were telling me that by God's grace, India did not open the visa because in that case we couldn't have people here to protest because people are selling their land, people are ready to migrate. And I know personally people are trying to put their children into schools, etc. on this side of the border. So situation emotionally is very bad, very, very bad.
All right, we'll take concluding thoughts from all our panelists, starting with Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat.
Vineet, first of all, I salute NewsX for the relentless way in which the channel has been pursuing the Bangladesh tragedy. And I stand by what I said, that we need now action. Frankly, diplomacy and other matters, we have a sham election, it's worse, the remedy is worse than disease. Quite frankly, Bangladesh is a serious security challenge not only to India, but to democracies all across the world. Because the kind of people who are being bred there are the kind of people who are now breeding in Syria. And they're a danger to the whole world. They can strike anywhere. So we need coordinated diplomatic action, as happened, for example, in 1971. Indira Gandhi went all over the place, but the fact of the matter is nobody stood by India when the war was there, but we didn't need. Even now, I do not think we will need anybody, but we need the world to be conscious of the tragedy that's befalling Christians, Buddhists and Hindus in Bangladesh. It's not just Hindus, it's Christians and Buddhists as well. And where we need to tell the world loudly, all over the world, we need to send emissaries who can do this. And I feel it's very important that we act now because frankly, each minute that is lost is a minute in which human lives could have been lost. Thank you, Vineet.
Ambassador Sikri.
Yeah, thank you. I think that the government of India has done the right thing by trying to maintain an atmosphere of normalcy and talking to the present regime in Bangladesh, at the same time conveying absolutely unequivocally our concerns and our really serious, absolutely negative thoughts on what is happening to the minorities in Bangladesh. And I think we can continue this dual track. This is very important. We talk to them, we make sure the situation remains normalized as far as possible within Bangladesh, but globally there should be absolutely no second thought that we have to spread the word about what the Islamist regime in Bangladesh is doing, because President Muhammad Yunus is clearly not in control. He's either unable or unwilling to do anything about the present situation, probably both. And he is being forced into decisions by the Islamist groups, which are the Jamaat-e-Islami, the Hizb ut-Tahrir, the Hifazat-e-Islam, the Islami Andolan Bangladesh. Some of them are political parties, some of them are Islamist organizations. And we have seen how Professor Muhammad Yunus himself let the cat out of the bag in New York in September when he was speaking at the Clinton Global Initiative. And he said, he called his special assistant on stage, announced him as the mastermind behind the entire regime change operation which toppled Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and said, don't think it's spontaneous. This did not happen spontaneously. It was meticulously designed. So I think we have to follow up on Professor Mohammed Yunus's own declaration and make sure that this Islamist regime in Bangladesh does not get any kind of traction. Certainly within Bangladesh, they do not have support. Their support is declining because the economic situation is catastrophic. Their factories are closed, their people are out of jobs. Journalists, of course, as I told you, are also in jail. So the internal situation is very poor. Yet, because of Professor Mohammed Yunus as the puppet head, he is trying to get the international community to say that everything in Bangladesh is all right, which it is not. So we have to carry that message across and make sure that people are aware of what will happen if yet another Islamist organization who wants Sharia law, who wants, caliphate to be declared. In fact, there are posters about that all over Dhaka being put up by the Hizb ut-Tahrir. That means we have to have khilafat in Bangladesh. So these are very, very alarming and concerning signals for India, and we have to be prepared. I agree with the security point about chicken's neck. It is vital, and perhaps this is the time to solve that as well.
All right. Jal Sudhakarji, quickly, 30 seconds. Sir, I can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Now you are, sir. Quickly, sir. Wrap it up in 10 seconds, please.
Okay. There are two UAVs which were spotted, one towards Meghalaya the other day, I think day before yesterday, and one towards West Bengal. And these UAVs are basically the Bayraktar or TB2 produced by Turkey. They have been spotted. I don't know if the airspace has been violated. It must be taken seriously, must be raised diplomatically at different points. Number two, China, as on today, is providing 82% of the hardware to military of Bangladesh.
Okay, sir. All right. Okay, sir. You've made that point already. Mr. Bose, quickly.
Yeah, the situation is tense. I think in next 2 months are very crucial. India should put security on the top agenda at this moment, and
Okay.
we cannot.
All right. Thank you so much.
order
Thank you
close
so
for
much
too
for
long.
being here. Appreciate everyone who joined.